And welcome to the first meeting for the town of Monroe in the 2024 year. Today is Tuesday, January 2nd. Can everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance. Okay, so obviously we have a nice crowd here this evening. It's great to see people here to acknowledge those that are swearing in and to acknowledge Councilman McGinn. So can I get a motion to open up tonight's meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Okay, so moved. So I'm just going to flip-flop the swearing in on items 3 and 4. So we're here to acknowledge Councilman McGinn's service over the last 8 years. Mike has been a steadfast, calm. He added so much sensibility to this board when there was literally none. He was instrumental in numerous things. He was instrumental in the comp plan that we presently have. He revamped the manner with which the court worked. He was one of the driving forces behind the CCR, which is our preservation code. He was very instrumental in the security for this building and providing us with a foyer that eliminates random access from people and making sure that our employees are kept safe. Trying to negotiate that with him was very difficult because there were other avenues I thought we should go, but he kept going back to the number one priority being the safety of the employees. We don't want random people roaming in this building. It's a large building. There's 2 floors, and he was steadfast in that. He was a good part of the short-term rental law, the rental registry law, and that's just to name it a few things he did. We had 2 years that when we got elected as councilmen, both Mike and I, that I will tell you, and he would agree, were the 2 worst years of our lives. And everything was done and revolved around making sure that our town followed the best principles and the best practices. I can remember going to the first Association of Towns meeting and people coming up to myself and saying, we're so glad that you guys have sensibility down there now. And excuse me? And, you know, going forward from that point on, brought us to where we are today. Mike, you know that you'll be sorely missed from this board. Your efforts will not be forgotten. They will go on from today forward, and we just want to thank you for everything you did and the sacrifices you made for public service. And I know your wife and your family had to make a lot of sacrifices as well. I know that you are still being the president of the FOP. You have a major project right now, and that's the memorial that's going to be relocated up at the Orange County Government Center. And I know you have a passion for that, just like you had a passion for serving this town. Your efforts there will be seen, hopefully, in the near future. And your work there is obviously recognized by those members of the FOP who are here in attendance tonight. And I just want you to know that you might be consulted on a couple of things, so you still might be involved as we move forward. I know you have asked to also be on our ethics board, which we will hopefully approve later in the evening, your appointment there. But moving forward, there's a couple of presentations this evening. So I'd like to ask the board if we could move up towards the podium, and I'd like to invite up Sheriff Paul Arteta. But that's okay. I'm sorry, and Legislator Pete Toohey. So, Sheriff Arteta? Mike, you want to come up?
Good evening, everybody. I just want to say I've known Mike McGinn for several years. I had hair when I first met Mike. I've been a member of the FOP for well over almost 30 years now. I worked side by side with Mike. He worked at the sheriff's office for a number of years. He is a consummate professional. He puts 100% into everything he does. As the supervisor mentioned, he's working on an enormous project for the police memorial. This gentleman gives up his time, a lot of time, for the FOP and this community. I remember it was a little bit colder than this, and we were handing out COVID kits to the public. We had about this much of our faces showing because it was so cold, but it's all volunteer work and contributing to his professionalism within the community. So I have a couple of certificates of recognition. I have one from the district attorney who wasn't able to make it tonight. Certificate of recognition presented to Mike McGinn on your retirement as a Monroe councilman. Thank you for 8 years of dedicated service to the citizens of Orange County. Congratulations and best wishes for a long and happy retirement. That's from Dave Hoovler. And this one's from the sheriff's office. We proudly present the certificate of recognition to Michael McGinn for your 8 years of service to the citizens of Monroe and Orange County as the town of Monroe councilman, the second day of January 2024.
Thank you. I just want everyone to remember that there's a better half associated with Mike. Barbara, would you mind coming up with I think one of your children is here as well?
It's
Maeve, come on. Yep.
AKA the golden child.
All right, now I'll introduce Legislator Pete Toohey.
Thank you, Supervisor Cardone. Mike, the county executive, Steve Newhouse, was unable to attend tonight, so I'm going to give you this presentation from Steve. No, just kidding. Orange County Executive Certificate of Recognition presented to Mike McGinn, January 2nd, 2024. In recognition of your years of hard work, dedication, and faithful, devoted service to the town of Monroe, as acting supervisor, your service on the MUDA Commission, and as Monroe Town Board Councilman, congratulations and best wishes on the occasion of your retirement. Signed, Stephen M. Newhouse, County Executive. Just one other thing too is that with Mike's project up there in the FOP with relocating the law enforcement wall, you got the legislature. We're all in on it, you know. So hopefully. Thank you very
Councilwoman Houle to present a couple of other certificates from the county.
County Clerk Kelly Askew sends her regrets for not being able to be here tonight to honor your service to the town, but she did ask me to present this to you. Orange County Clerk Certificate of Appreciation presented to Mike McGinn. Thank you for your outstanding service and dedication to the town of Monroe. Wishing you health and happiness in your future endeavors. Given this day, second day of January 2024, signed Kelly Eskew, County Clerk.
Councilwoman Bingham?
Mike, you've always been a ear that I could turn to to share my horror stories. And always happy to listen, and also willing to accept another side, another opinion. So I have a little present for you just to show my appreciation personally.
Well, thank you very much.
Mike, I do want to read something. Someone couldn't be here tonight, and they sent me an email, and they said, "Dear Mike, I'm sorry I could not be there this evening as I have a meeting conflict. I just wanted to let you know what an honor and pleasure it has been to work with you. We first crossed paths when you and Tony were first town board members some 6 years ago, and we began our work in 2016 to update the comprehensive plan and zoning. It was then that you famously, at least to me, gave me the nickname Bonnie Franzone. I know you have worked tirelessly at steering the town in the right direction during significant and tumultuous changes in its history, including the separation of the town from what would become the town of Palm Tree. Mike, you have always been calm at the table, level-headed, thoughtful, and moving the town forward in the right direction. I then had the honor to work with you and the board when they selected me to be your planning board chairperson. Your involvement with planning matters, as well with all town affairs, has always been positive, insightful, and for the betterment of the town. I am sad you will be leaving your town board position. We will miss you. I wish you the very best in your new endeavors. I hope you will not be a stranger to Town Hall. Come visit us once in a while. All the best, Bonnie Franzone." So, Mike, why don't you come a little
Come
closer?
over, Mike, come on. One last
So-
time, get next to me.
We have the traditional rendering of the Horseshoe Falls Bridge, which also has a Make an Impact pin attached, and the inscription reads, "The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. With grateful appreciation for your selfless service to the town of Monroe community and dedication to instilling positive change during your 8-year tenure as town councilman, December 2023, it's really January, we know. We were thinking of doing this in December, but we decided to wait. So on behalf of the town board, past and present, we thank you for all you've done for everyone, and we wish you well moving forward. You want to say a few words?
Try to keep this brief, but this has been it's been the honor of a lifetime, and I mean that to be fortunate enough to serve the great people of this town, and you know, it's you know, some people get into politics to go to the next level or do whatever, you know, and or for whatever their personal purposes are. But for us, it was Tony and I came on. It was about saving this town and getting it back to where it needed to be. And I'm very proud that over the last 8 years, working together as a board, working with our other boards, the planning board, you know, Bonnie had sent this nice letter, and, you know, we're so fortunate to have had her on the board, on the planning board in these times. You know, of course, the ZBA, Conservation Commission, you know, Ethics Board, these are all important things, and it's all stuff that goes on behind the scenes that most people don't see. And, but just real honored to have been a part of that. And certainly, you know, Tony said those first 2 years were tough years, and we made it through, and, you know, we came out a much better and stronger town, more independent once we separated from KJ, for sure. And, you know, it's, you know, it was such a, again, I can't say enough about the people here at Town Hall that did the work every day, the Highway Department, the other town departments that were out there, Emery Morris. I mean, I can't, you know, she just a tireless worker for everything that goes on here. Jen Chenars, who I reach out to, who I always kid about being the real supervisor, but you really do you really do work hard and take care of business here, and that's not to, of course, you know, Tony, no doubt the hardest working town supervisor in Orange County, and the other towns and county government look at us in a different way because you're here and you're on the board. Sal, you've been, you know, I mean, you've been a one-man IDA for this town and a nonstop cheerleader to get people here. Dory, thanks for sitting next to the supervisor when I couldn't get next to him, and just you have brought a whole new level to this board, and you know, I don't even know what to say. I'm gonna miss you too, Mary. I'm not that I'm going anywhere. I'm staying here. You know, have my family's all around. My kids live around here, so I'm not going anywhere. But thank you, Mary. Thank you for everything you've done here. Zoning, planning, water, sewer. I know I call you water woman all the time, but thank you. And you know, you know, Sheriff Arteta, thank you so much for the presentation. That was wonderful. Legislator Toohey, thank you for your multiple presentations here this evening, and yourself as well. Congratulations, Maureen. We wish you well. All right. You know, you getting elected's the easy part. You know, but doing this, the hard work, representing the people, you earn that. You earn that trust. That's not something that comes from an election, and I'm not saying that for you. I'm just saying that for all of us. You've got to earn that trust, and you know, if you can get to that point where people, regardless of their party, regardless of who they are, will come up and thank you for your service, like a gentleman did just the other day when I was at Planet Fitness. And yes, I know it's hard to believe I go to Planet Fitness, but I do, and I try. But a gentleman came up to me that I know wasn't always supportive and said, thank you for your service for your 8 years and what you did. And that's what you should be striving to do. And that's what I try to do. So, and last and certainly not least, you know, my wife, my lovely wife, who put up with this madness for the last 8 years, especially those first two, coming home at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning after meetings, everything that went on in between and after and behind the scenes. Thank you. Thanks for being supportive. My kids, Maeve's my youngest, but the others were there on that crazy first meeting where we got sworn in the theater with 150, 60, 70 people. I don't even know what was in there, but that meeting was something that's going to live in my memory for the rest of my life. And what went on there and how we changed things from that first meeting and just went forward is that's something for the books, and that's something people will talk about for a long time. You know, I had the pleasure of firing the town attorney at that meeting and hiring the man who, if we didn't have with us Mr. Nugent and his firm of excellent attorneys, we would have never got to where we were. So, Brian, thank you for everything you did to get us where we needed to be, and we appreciate it. Without a doubt, the best municipal attorney in Orange County, Rockland County, you name it, he is. So listen, I know you have a big meeting to get forward with, and I just want to thank you all again. It was an honor and pleasure serving this community, serving all of you, and, I look forward to still serving behind the scenes or whatever can be done to keep the progress moving forward. So, thank you.
One quick humorous story.
Go right ahead.
So I remember the first day I met Mike when he was shopping in our retail store, the Hallmark store. And what year were your twins born? Barbara? 94? Okay, 94. So he came in looking for gifts for his newborn twins. He introduced himself. I introduced myself. For the next 4 or 5 years, I could never remember his name. So I'm outside of, it was Bank of New York then. It's the Chase across from Wally's. And Mike comes in, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" I just didn't remember his name. And as I'm leaving, another NYPD officer that worked with Mike approached us and said, "Hey, how you guys doing?" I said, "Good, Joe. We're well and fine." So Mike proceeds to go into the bank. So I said to Joe, and this is in true NYPD fashion, I said, "Joe, for the life of me, he's a great guy. I can't remember his name." And he says, "Oh, it's Jack." So next time I saw Mike, I called him Jack. And he looked at me and he goes, "It's Mike." And that's the only time I finally found out what his true name was. So thank you very much. And Barbara, thank you. If you guys want to get up here, we just want to get some photos, close-ups with everyone. If you want to get up in front of the podium. So if everyone would just gather around. Barb, you want the cover for that? Okay. Next up is the swearing of newly elected officials.
Supervisor, did you want to just stick with community announcements first, or no?
No, I want to,
Okay.
yeah, I want to go back to that,
Okay.
get that part of it over. So, Judge McKnight, you'll be the first. Come on up. Madam Clerk, thanks for coming, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Good
Be
night.
well. Thank you.
And lady.
And lady, I'm sorry, Laura, I'm sorry. What? Yeah, what the heck, yeah. Got it.
Okay. Judge McKnight, please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Yes, pal.
I, James McKnight,
I, James McKnight,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duties of
Town Justice
Town Justice
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Welcome back, Judge McKnight.
Thank you very much.
Maureen, welcome. You want to head up there? Judge Barbado, could you come up? That's-
Anywhere you wish. Let me get my glasses. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I,
I,
Maureen,
Maureen Richardson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the
and
United
the
States
Constitution of the laws of the State of New York
and the Constitution of the laws of the State of New York
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge the duties of the office of
and that I will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of the office of Town Councilwoman
according to the law and the best of my ability.
according to the law and of the best of my ability. So help me God.
Congratulations. So help you God.
Congratulations. Welcome to the town board, Maureen. Okay. Next item up. I'm going to skip over the recap of the year because we're still in the process of doing the accounting work. So I want to have a better feel for that at the next meeting. So 2024 tax collector's notice.
So the 2024 tax season has begun. We have begun accepting payments. Payments are accepted in Town Hall Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. After 2 p.m., they will be stamped and processed the next day. April 1st is the last day of collection due to March 31st, falling on a Sunday. So April 1st will be the last day to pay your taxes. Please note that January 31st, February 29th, and April 1st, we will be open from 4 to 6 if you needed to come in to pay taxes. You can pay your taxes online, however, those do need to be paid directly by the resident. No cash payments. Checks get made out to Town of Monroe tax collector. Please be sure to include your phone number on your checks. In the event that they need to be returned and we can't contact you, you don't want to wind up accruing penalties. There's a 1% penalty for payments made after February 1st, 2% penalty, plus a $2 second notice fee after March. And payments made after April 1st, those will go up to the county where additional penalties are put on those tax bills. So up till January 31st, that's the penalty-free period.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Okay, item 5.1 is just a notification that town law requires the oath of office for every town official within 15 days after commencement of their office. That's Section 10 of the Public Offices Law requires the oath of office of every municipal officer to be on file in the office of the clerk of the municipality. Item 6.1 is the appointment of the acting supervisor. I will make a motion to appoint Dory Houle as the acting supervisor.
I'll second.
Call the question. Discussion?
I think that you have two board members who have been on this. You have two board members who have been on this board much longer than Councilwoman Houle. I really feel that both Councilman Scancarello and myself would be able to handle that position, especially since I am retired. I have a lot more hours that I can devote. So I just wanted everybody to know that I think other people should have been considered for this position.
Okay, duly noted. Call the question. Okay.
I agree with Councilwoman Mary Bingham. I believe that in Tony Cardone's own words, that relevant experience matters. And Mary Bingham has not only been on the town board since 2018, but she was also integral on, I believe, the planning and Conservation Commission and has always been active in the town of Monroe. And after the election results, I think that there's a clear call in the public for bipartisanship. And as a town board member, I wouldn't appoint someone actively campaigning for a different office when I just wouldn't choose it. So, thank you.
Okay, duly noted. Call the question.
Nay.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, nay.
So moved. Okay, item 6.2 is the Registrar of Vital Statistics. Be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Monroe appoints, I'll make this motion, Val Bitzer as Registrar of Vital Statistics, coterminous with the term of Town Clerk, Public Health Law 4121, 4123.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 6.3 is the Deputy Registrar. I'll make the motion. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe appoints Patricia Cash as Deputy Registrar, term to expire 12/31/2024.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Item 6.4, Town Marriage Officer. I'll make the motion. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe approves the Town Clerk Valerie Bitzer as the Town Marriage Officer pursuant to the provisions of the Domestic Relations Law.
I'll
Poole,
second. Sorry, Dory.
Go ahead, Dory.
Poole, second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 6.5, I'll make a motion, and be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby appoints Val Bitzer as tax collector, term to expire 12/31/24.
I'll
Poole will
second.
We're going, go ahead, you go, Sal.
All right, call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Item 6.6, First Deputy Tax Collector. I'll make a motion, and be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby appoints Patricia Cash as First Deputy Tax Collector, term to expire 12/31/24.
Second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Item 6.7, Second Deputy Tax Collector. I'll make a motion, and be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby appoints Barbara Singer as Second Deputy Tax Collector, term to expire 12/31/24.
Poole, second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, item 6.8, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe approves the supervisor and town council members to sign a certificate of liability insurance for the tax collector, which is to be filed in the Department of Finance in Orange County. The 24-25 term certificate of insurance will be issued after the 1/29/24 renewal term has been bound with NYMER. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Town Engineer, I will make a motion that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby appoints MHE as Town Engineer, term to expire 12/31/24. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 7.1, Secretary to the Supervisor. Be it resolved, I'll make the motion, and be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby appoints Jennifer Schnars as Secretary to the Supervisor, term to expire 12/31/25.
Poole, second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 7.2, I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby appoints James Nelson as the Town of Monroe Historian, term to expire 12/31/24.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby appoints Patricia Cash as First Deputy Town Clerk, term to expire 12/31/27.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. I'll make a motion for the second deputy town clerk. Be it resolved that Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby appoints Barbara Singer as second deputy town clerk, term to expire 12/31/27.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 9.1 and 9.2, I'd like to make a motion to table that as per a recommendation from the highway superintendent.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Okay, item 10.1, Planning Board Chairperson. I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby reappoints Bonnie Franson as Planning Board Chairperson, term to expire 12/31/24.
Discussion.
We have
Poole
to
will
have a
second for
second.
discussion.
Thank you. I just want to be sure before I vote that I know that Bonnie is more than qualified and has done a great job with a lot of our projects, that the proper disclosures, or if they are required to disclose, have been completed. I know that she works at Nelson Voorhees Pope, which we retain for other services. Our planner, Max Stack, is related to Bonnie. A lot of constituents has brought this up to me just as a question. And in my reading of the Code of Ethics, I know I didn't have time because I am new to get a formal decision or an advisory opinion from the Board of Ethics, whether a disclosure is required. But if there is a conflict in any of these scenarios for Nelson Voorhees Pope or for Max being blood related and working on these projects, her brother working on these projects, them working both at the same company, that can nullify contracts and cause chaos for the board. So I just wanted to be sure that those disclosures, as I don't have anything in front of me.
Once the Ethics Board provides everyone with those disclosures, they are signed, and I believe it's usually done by February 10th or 15th.
Supervisor, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this has been disclosed prior, but obviously, you know,
Yes.
Ms. Richardson's a new board member, so
It
obviously.
has. It has.
Yeah, so they can certainly submit the disclosure again, but it has been submitted to the town previously.
Okay, thank you.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 10.2, I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town of Monroe Town Board hereby reappoints Jeffrey Manson as Planning Board member, slot number 5, with a term to expire 12/31/27.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, and that appointment officially brings our planning board down to 5 members from the 7, which existed previous to this. There was a phase-in period to get through the other 2 members, which were vacant. Item 10.3 is be it resolved that the Town Board, Town of Monroe, hereby reappoints Robert Garstack as Planning Board alternate member, slot 1, term to expire 12/31/25.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 10.4, I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby reappoints Louis Rivera as Planning Board alternate member, slot number 2, term to expire 12/31/25.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Yes.
Yes. Item 10.5, Make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe appoints the firm of Norton and Torrey LLP as the Town of Monroe Planning Board Attorney.
Who will second?
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 11.1, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby reappoints Francis Postiglione as Zoning Board of Appeals Chairperson, term to expire 12/31/24. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 11.2, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby reappoints John Seeley as Zoning Board of Appeals member, slot number 4, term to expire 12/31/2028. Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 11.3, I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe appoints the firm of Ferrick Nugent McCartney, PLLC, as the Town of Monroe Zoning Board of Appeals Attorney.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 12.1, happy to make a motion to be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe appoints the firm of Ferrick Nugent McCartney, PLLC, as the Town of Monroe Town Council Attorney.
Poole will second.
Brian, do we have to have an expiration date on that?
I'll say no.
It's forever.
What's that?
It's forever.
It's forever. No, but can we put an expiration?
It's really contractual, so we're not public officers, but you can do it for the year, until your next reorg, if you want to do that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Can we do it for more than that?
Well, it's contractual, so I would just say do it, for the current biennial period. In other words, a 2-year period till your next reorg.
Next reorg is next year.
Oh, because you'll have elections, yeah. So you could do it for the year. Doesn't matter. You
Yeah,
just,
well, actually, we won't have elections next year.
yeah, and the truth is, as attorneys, we're not locked into a term anyway. In other words, the town board at any point could decide by the majority to terminate services, so it doesn't really matter what you put on it, because
Okay.
the board, we can't lock you into a term.
Would you just say by contract then?
I'm sorry?
By contract?
We'll do it to the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, that you can continue the contract to the end of the year, but even if you decided mid-year to terminate our services, you're not bound by that contract when it comes to legal services.
One contract, we're not.
Yeah.
So 12/31/24.
Right.
Okay.
All right, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. Item 13.1, Board of Ethics, all of items.
Supervisor, I think we can actually table this without a date. The chairperson is actually elected by the Board of Ethics under their rules now, under the code.
Okay,
So they would determine the chairperson. So
Okay.
unless this is a member also that you're appointing, then it would just be a membership appointment. If the same person, in other words, needs to be reappointed as a member.
no, Tommy's expiration is 12/31/25.
Yeah, so then it would just be left to the Board of Ethics for their
Okay.
election by the membership.
Okay. So we'll go up to 13.2, Board of Ethics member. Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby appoints Anne Marie Morris as Board of Ethics member, slot number 1, with a term to expire 12/31/26.
Second for discussion. I was speaking with the town board as a private citizen about this issue. The only thing about Anne Marie Morris being on the Board of Ethics is that the current code states that a member cannot hold office in a political party. In my dealings with the committee, we were advised that a member of the Board of Ethics cannot be on the political committees. Basically, it serves two masters. I don't think this was fully resolved. could we get an answer to this?
I believe it was resolved.
Again, I discussed this briefly with Ms. Richardson prior to the meeting. My understanding has always been, and obviously there's been people on the Board of Ethics, I think, have been on committees. I think this question comes down to the distinction of being a member versus the language of the Code of Ethics that says holding office in a political committee, which at least historically has been interpreted to mean holding an office such as a vice president, president, somebody in a position of power. I know that Ms. Richardson has the bylaws and of the committee itself, and they consider somebody as an officer that's elected, as a member to that committee.
So it's actually New York State election law determines that a party officer is any member of a political committee, and that members of a political committee, according to this committee handbook that I'm looking at, are those members duly appointed between the biennial primary or elected. So they are elected, and that's just a conflict in my mind that according to New York State election law, that all officers of the party are actually just considered committee members. And it would make sense in my mind to have an impartial ethics board, because the sole goal of a committee is to get your party elected. So if you are dealing with matters that directly oversee the town board, as is the purview of the ethics board, it's the purpose, I don't think that you could distinguish between those two objectives, personally.
Yeah, so I'd only comment that I think adopting that interpretation today, we'd be changing what has been done. And if the board wants to refer the question, and assuming everybody on the Board of Ethics is not on a committee, they presented and recommended this draft to the town board, and certainly would have the best input on what was intended. If that opinion's not already been issued, it may have already been addressed, I don't know that, but that's an inquiry we could make to the board. I don't think it's, sufficient at this point to prevent the appointment. If ultimately, though, that becomes the interpretation, then that you can't hold any position on a political committee, then the code should probably reflect that and be amended to that language. But it's up to the board if you would like to refer something, or if Ms. Richardson would like to make the inquiry to the Board of Ethics to ask that specific question, if it hasn't been answered already in some opinion.
It has already been answered. The attorney from the Ethics Committee, Don Farrick from Farrick Nugent McCartney, actually gave his opinion on it, and there was no conflict. This revolved around Mr. Lezak. Mr. Lezak understood. I had conversations with him. I had a conversation with him last week on this. There's no conflict here. Mr. Lezak understands it. He's welcome to join the Democratic Committee. It's his choice not to. And he's up for appointment tonight as well. And I have no problem appointing him either. So if you would like to make an inquiry to the Ethics Committee, that's your choice to do so. I'd like to call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, nay.
So moved. Item 13.3, I'll make a motion. Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby appoints Larry Lawrence Lezak to the Board of Ethics member, slot number 4, term to expire 12/31/25.
Poole will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Item 13.4, Board of Ethics member. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby appoints Mike McGinn as Board of Ethics member, slot number 7, term to expire 12/31/26. I'll make the motion.
Second for discussion.
I will tell you that Mike is currently an officer in a Republic Committee, and he has made the mention that he will resign from that.
Thank you for that. I was going to ask if he was a member. I did not also realize that he was an officer, so that clarifies things. With the addition that I was researching this issue and saw that the state comptroller has filed, additional interpretations of the New York State General Municipal Law on this, and realizing that they oversee the financial disclosures, I'm just concerned that having been on the town board and worked and voted on some of those financial endeavors, I'll say, that then as a member of the Board of Ethics, he would sort of have that oversight over the same actions that he was in a different role with. I would just ask that, if he is appointed, that, recusal is considered in those circumstances specifically, where it does sort of create overlap with his position and tenure on the board. Personally, I just wanted to add that I don't believe that the composition of the current ethics board reflects an impartial board that oversees and would be able to separate personal relationship given the tenure on the board. That's all. Thank you.
What do you mean it doesn't reflect balance?
If I was on the town board for 8 years with someone who I considered one of my good friends, I don't think that I would be able to discharge my duties as a member of the Board of Ethics if there was any complaint made. That's all.
Well, here.
I
go ahead,
think
Dory.
Mike's,
Go
I
ahead.
think former Councilman McGinn's experience up until this point, both as a member of NYPD and as a member of the town board, and all of the work that he's done actually makes him an excellent choice for this position. He is one of the most upstanding men in this community.
No one's questioning his upstanding status.
And I have no doubt that he would be able to discharge the duties of the Board of Ethics. No doubt at all whatsoever.
I'm just voicing my concerns.
Yep.
Yeah, and I understand your concerns, and as Councilwoman Houle said, former Councilman McGinn, I'm sure would be able to separate the issues, and I'm positive, based on his personality and the work he's done on the town board, that he would also recuse himself should something come up as a conflict. So I do understand your concerns, though.
And I think it's up to us as a board to allow those people on the ethics committee to do that. I don't think it's for us to say, you have to recuse yourself. Let them do that. That's why they're there.
I think that my job here is to just voice the concerns of the people who elected me to sit here, so that's what I'm doing, and I'm just saying that many have expressed concerns about the composition of the ethics board, and so I just wanted to put that on the record, and thank you.
Are you talking about the political party aspect of it?
No, I said it's just a matter of, there's multiple factors. The committee, he is on there, he's going to he's going to step down as an officer, you've said that. Mike McGinn more than has the appropriate knowledge and of course upstanding status in the community, and any other board I would be more than happy to fervently support him. It's just that in this matter, given the current composition and the known friendships and other matters of people on the ethics board, it's hard for people in the public who don't know you for 8 years or more to see that as a fair composition, and I'm voicing that as their voice.
Just want to let you know, so the makeup of the committee is, from what I know, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and 1 independent.
We're not talking about political status.
I don't know what you're talking about then. I'll call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Cool, aye.
Richardson, nay.
That was in?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Item 14.1 is the Conservation Advisory Chairperson. Brian, I remember doing this in the past. The town board appoints that, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the town board of the town of Monroe reappoints Dennis Fordham as Conservation Advisory Chairperson, term to expire 12/31/24.
Who will second?
Call the question.
Aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, item 14.2, Conservation Advisory Council Member. I'll make a motion, be resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby reappoints Nina Petito as Conservation Advisory Council Member, Secretary, slot number 3, term to expire 12/31/2025.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Item 14.3, I'll make a motion, be it resolved that Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby reappoints Fred Schuper as Conservation Advisory Council Member, slot number 4, term to expire 12/31/2025.
Who will second?
Call the question.
Aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Item 14.4, Conservation Advisory Council Member. I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby reappoints Mario Gutierrez as Conservation Advisory Council Member, slot number 5, term to expire 12/31/2025. Make the motion.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 14.5, Conservation Advisory Council Member. I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Monroe hereby reappoints Sam Ventola as Conservation Advisory Council Member, slot number 6, term to expire 12/31/2025. Do I have a second?
Who will second?
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Item 14.6, another Conservation Advisory Council Member. Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby reappoints Dennis Fordham, we made you chairman before we reappointed you, as Conservation Advisory Council Member, slot number 7, term to expire 12/31/2025.
Bingham will second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Okay, item 15.1.
Oh, hold on, we have,
What's that?
Left off 2 members.
They're not up for reappointment yet.
that's right, their appointment,
they're-
when they were appointed
They're
last
appointed
year.
through 24.
Charlie Pakula,
You're going to have to speak into the mic, Dennis. I can't hear you, sorry.
He said Charlie Pakula.
Charlie Pakula. Surely he's not,
He goes through 12/31/2024.
okay,
Michael
here.
Finson.
Shouldn't that,
Their term was
The
established
term
when they
expires
were
the end of this
initially
year.
appointed.
He has a 2-year term, so he's
Got
in
another
the
year,
second
next year.
Yeah. And the same would be for
Michael
Mikhail.
Finson.
Mickle. Yep. Okay, thank you. Item 15.1, Smith Clove Park Commission. I'll make a motion, be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe hereby reappoint Andrew Calvano to the Town of Monroe, slot number 2, on the Monroe Joint Park Recreation Commission, term to expire 12/31/2028.
Who will second?
Call the question.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 16.1, Board of Assessment Review. Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe appoints Santina Lopez, not Lopex, it's Lopez, to the Board of Assessment Review, slot number 1, term to expire 9/30/2028.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scangarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Who, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. Item 17, Moodna Commission appointment. Be it resolved that Town Board of Town of Monroe appoints Councilwoman Dory Hool to the Moodna Commission.
I'll second.
Call,
Wait.
discussion?
Yep.
Go ahead.
We actually have We actually have, again, Councilman Scancarello, who lives in the Moodna District, and we also have Pat Patterson, who also lives in the Moodna District, whereas Councilman Dory Houle does not live in the Moodna District. And I think it would just be better if we had a resident who lived in the district actually serve on the commission, because I think they would be able to understand some of the issues better.
Okay.
Continue. I would also think that Pat, given his experience, would likely be a better choice for this.
Okay. I don't even know if he wants that.
I'll be honest with you, I really don't know what's entailed with that. I would have to do research even on it to do it. And right now, I'm taxed to the limit. So maybe in future, at a future time, I would be interested in it. But right now, it's just, I have to focus on highway and other things that we're changing around in the highway. So, but thank you.
Thank you. Any interest?
It's no interest with me either right now. I'm kind of to the max myself. I think Dory would be a perfect representative for us on the Moodna District. So, you're welcome.
All right, call the question?
Is this motion just for Dory Houle? Because on my paperwork
Yes.
it says, okay, so this motion is just for Councilwoman Houle?
Yes.
Okay, so nay.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Houle, aye. Oh, can I actually, Brian, can I vote on this one, seeing as though
Let's
this
do
is
this. Let's see how
materially
the vote
affected.
goes first, and then see if we need your vote.
Richardson, nay.
Okay.
It's a nay. Okay, so the only thing with this position, I believe there's a stipend, correct?
There is,
I know
yes.
it's not significant. It's like $200 or something along those lines. A month.
So considering that there's a stipend, can I vote?
I would probably recommend on this one getting, to play it safe, the typical legal path would be to obtain a compliance opinion from the Board of Ethics prior to the vote. So we could always table the vote on this. I don't think it'll be critical for Moodna. They don't meet that regularly that, and they have obviously other members. So I would suggest get the compliance opinion. This way there's no question about it. And if the answer is you can vote, then we can come back and put it to the board again.
So I will make a motion that we table the appointment of, well, can I make that motion? To
Yeah, you can
table?
make a motion. Yeah.
Ed?
I'll
table
second. I'll second it. Call the question?
To table
To
it.
table it is
Yes.
aye. Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Houle, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved.
The supervisor, Councilwoman Bingham, was also on that resolution.
We're doing it individually.
Okay,
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yep. Okay. Seeing, as we move on, I'll make a motion to appoint Steve Thaw to the Moodna Commission.
I'll second.
Call the question?
Nay. Bingham, nay.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Houle, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so moved. Can we please stop yelling out from the audience? Excuse me?
Oh,
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to have a group or bulk resolution for items 18 through 31. If everyone's okay with that, I'll make that motion.
Yes. Houle, a second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Houle, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, so moved. Okay, item 32, amendments to the fee schedule. Be it resolved that the Town Board of Town of Monroe made a motion to approve the fee changes as per the attachment. Town of Monroe fee schedule effective 1/3/24. Changes to Section 6 currently reads, in-house copying, $20 for the town clerk. Copies processed by outside vendor, $20 plus any applicable fees charged by vendor.
So what we're looking for that to read, just give me 1 second. looking for this to be in conjunction with the building department. So copies of a town map, in-house copying is $20. Copies processed by an outside vendor, so which is copies larger items such as construction plans that cannot be reproduced at town hall will be charged at the rate of $100 plus the actual cost of reproduction. So that is the same as the building department.
Okay, so everything's consistent?
Yes.
Okay. So, one thing I'd like to adjust, and I'm sure Pat Patterson would agree here, is the application for curb cut. I'd like to raise that to $750, if you're okay with that, Pat? Excuse me.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'd like to include that in the motion. And
That will be under the building inspector, the building department? Or highway?
highway,
Highway, okay.
it's under the highway. Okay? So do I get a second on that change?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
So moved. 32.2 is the, we need an authorization, we need a resolution authorizing town supervisor to execute the contract for the Monroe Fire Protection District.
We'll make a motion that we authorize Supervisor Cartone to sign the Monroe, the Town of Monroe Fire Protection District agreement.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
32.3 is the resolution authorizing supervisor to sign the 2024 professional service agreement with Public Sector HR for Human Resource Consulting Services. The fee for Human Resources Consulting Services as set forth in the scope of service is $7,000 per annum to be billed at the rate of $1,750 each calendar quarter.
We'll make a motion that we authorize the supervisor to sign the professional services agreement for human resource consulting with Public Sector HR Consultants, LLC.
Discussion?
Nobody seconded it.
Well,
No,
I made the motion.
Second for discussion.
second for discussion. Go ahead.
Okay. I really don't see why we need this public sector HR. The last time there was something that came up regarding human resources, it was Mr. Nugent's firm that actually set that up. And Jen Schnars has been very good dealing with the county to get the new employees with the lists and all those kind of things. So I really think it's an extravagant waste of money to pay this firm that, as far as I know, has not done really anything for us.
Here's what I'll say. The last time we had a situation, we had to hire an independent agent or public resource consulting company to handle a situation. I will not name that employee, but without that independent research, it would have been frowned upon, and it probably would have been an ethics complaint if we or Council Nugent handled it. And I wish Jen was still here. I think she left. We deal with them at least twice, 2 to 3 times a month, offering suggestions regarding civil service, employment, benefits. They are a wealth of information, and I know there was an increase in their services this year. Their services actually went up. They haven't had an increase in over 15 years. Their services actually went up to 8,500, I believe. And I called them and explained to them that our budget's already done. We budgeted 7,000. I said, that's all we can pay you. And they were okay with it. They moved forward with it. So I will tell you that I think your recollection is way off base. We use them quite a bit. And maybe if you reached out to Jen and asked her how much we use them, you'll get an answer like I had just given you.
Okay, I could reach out to Jen. I have no objection to that.
Call the question?
Bingham, nay.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay, item 32.4 is Carla McNamara. I'll make a motion approving Carla for the position of Assistant Assessor effective January 3rd, 2024, at an annual salary of $60,000. Carla qualified for this appointment with the Orange County Certified List of Eligible Assistant Assessors. The exam number was 69352. And that's an annual salary, did I say, of $60,000?
Poole will second.
You seconded it?
I did.
Sorry. Call the question?
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
So moved.
Okay.
Morning.
Oh, sorry.
Richardson, aye. While we're making mistakes, I made 2, and I was wondering if we could revisit, just for my purposes, for my vote, on 2 matters, 17.1 and 21.1.
All right, 'cause let's finish the meeting and then we'll get to that.
Okay, thank you.
Item 32.5, Sean Allen, seasonal labor at Smith Clove Park. I'll make a motion approving Sean Allen for the position of seasonal labor at Smith Clove Park effective January 3rd, 2024, at an hourly rate of $18. The seasonal appointment shall not exceed the maximum seasonal employment time period of 9 months as set forth by the Orange County Department of Human Resources. Sean has been pre-approved for this position by Orange County Department of Human Resources. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Okay. I will offer the opportunity if anybody signed up for public comment.
Public comment?
No? Anybody want to speak? No? Okay. There's no need for executive session. So I will make a motion to adjourn at 8. What's that?
Asked Ms. Richardson.
Oh, yes, I'm
Councilwoman
sorry.
Richardson.
So I incorrectly thought that you were reaffirming Steve Tao for 17.1. I thought we were tabling the entire Moodna Commission. I didn't hear Mary Bingham. Did we vote on Mary Bingham's reconfirmation, or we tabled the entire issue?
No,
Or-
we tabled the issue and we appointed a resident of the community. So the issue will come up at the next meeting, hopefully, who the appointment is, or whenever the Ethics Board gives us a opinion.
So we did not vote on Mary being on it?
No,
Okay.
did
that's
not even
interesting.
have a
Right, because
motion.
both appointments were tabled.
The entire what?
The entire issue, both appointments were both tabled.
Appointment
No.
was made. An
Oh,
appointment
okay.
was made of Steve Thau as.
My agenda had Mary Bingham's name on as second.
Well, that wasn't what was said in the agenda. So if you want to change your
Yeah.
vote,
Nay.
okay.
And then for
Do we
20.
have to make a motion on that, Councilman? Or she could just change her, Council?
Up to the board. I mean, if you want to recall the vote, you can do that, just so it's on the record.
Yeah, okay. We'll recall the vote with regard to Steve Dawes' appointment to the Moodna Commission.
So Bingham, nay.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye?
Poole, aye.
Richardson, nay. And then for 21.1, rules of procedure, the details that I had were that you were reaffirming the 11th edition of Robert's Rules of Order. Robert's Rules has a clause in it that anytime a new edition is published, the legislative body has to adopt it. That we're at the 12th edition.
Council?
Yeah, I'll review that. I don't necessarily agree with that. Boards can rely on the addition that they cite. I think if it wasn't specified, that would probably be the case if you just.
If
say
you
Robert's
adopt
Rules.
as a legislative.
Excuse me, Councilwoman, can you please let Mr. Nugent finish?
So again, I know the town board rules refer to the 11th edition, but also to the small board rules, which is what the board adopted out of there. We can review the 12th edition. We'd have to see what the changes were and see if this board In other words, you're not bound by Robert's rules. You decide what you want to
If
adopt.
you adopted the 11th edition and the 11th edition has the clause that you have to update with the new edition, it's inherent that you would, and I would ask that we do, considering that if there's any necessary clarifications, there are answered questions. If those questions come up, we would be ignoring new evidence and not adapting to the creation of the inherent to the document, the meaning of the document that the publication puts out intentionally to guide us. So
Again, I can review it. This board does not operate strictly on Robert's rules. It's a reference in there, but we have our own rules, and we have small board rules. So we can review it, but the board may choose not to adopt changes that were made in the 12th edition. So we either can discuss it, and if we want to make those changes, we can make them. If the board decides it doesn't like those changes, you don't have to refer to Robert's rules at all if you choose not to. So we can give, again, this first I've heard of it, so I can respond back to the board. I know there's a 12th edition, but I don't know that we have to adopt every rule that was changed from the 11th to the 12th.
Vice?
Well, again, we'll provide a response. I'm not saying that's the end of the question.
No,
We'll
I
review
just meant
it.
about discussion.
Yeah, we can put it on for the next meeting.
Yep, okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting at 8:21.
I'll second.
Call the question.
Bingham, aye.
Scancarello, aye.
Cardone, aye.
Poole, aye.
Richardson, aye.
Thank you, everyone. Hope everyone has a happy new year. Have a good evening.